collision with purpose, in pursuit of purpose.
Greetings, friends of the A Collision with Purpose project. Welcome to A Collision with Purpose podcast, Bridging Generations, Voices of Men in a Changing World. I am Dr. Laxley Stephenson. This groundbreaking podcast delves into the multifaceted experiences of men across different generations. In an era where societal norms and expectations rapidly evolve, this show offers young and older men a unique platform to voice their challenges, triumphs, and perspectives.
Hey, good evening. My name is Augusta Foster, one of your co-hosts, and in each of these episodes, we aim to foster understanding and bridge the gap between generations, exploring themes ranging from masculinity and mental health to career dynamics and personal relationships. We also are bringing together voices from varied age groups, and the show sheds light on the commonalities, more importantly, the differences in the male experiences, encouraging open dialogue and mutual learning.
So whether it's a teenager grappling with the pressures of social media or a senior reflecting on the changing definitions of manhood, Bridging Generations is committed to uncovering real stories of men navigating the complexities of a changing world. I'm Juan Marcel, one of the co-hosts, and together we are your moderators for Bridging Generations. Doc, what is going on tonight?
Yes. Gentlemen, what a weekend we had.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Momentous.
What a weekend we had.
Momentous.
Wow.
Memorable.
We set the stage for next February, right?
Absolutely.
2025.
Most definitely.
We're going to do it again. The only difference is this time we're going to do it bigger.
So we're going to do it.
I'm not sure if we can do it better, but we can do it bigger. But that was something. You know, my phone is still blowing up. People talking. I walked away from the event a different person.
Right.
Renewed, repurposed. Is that what you guys are hearing?
Absolutely. It was a lot of what do they call it? FOMO, the fear of missing out. A lot of people who got in contact with me afterwards who said, man, I really wish I watched the replay. I should have been there. And I'm like, yeah, I told you this was going to be the event, a must-attend event, the first quarter of the year that you had to be there. So now, coming off of that, the build for next year is going to be insane. I'm super excited.
Well, it really was epic, right? So we have a gentleman here with us tonight. You know, our special guest, a good friend of mine, someone I've known and have a lot of respect for. And I thought it was fitting for him to come on after our event. You know, I thought he was the right person. Tonight, we're going to be talking about education and entrepreneurship. And this man here, if you look in the dictionary on the entrepreneurship, you're going to see his face. So, Mr. Gary Howard, my friend, you know, social change advocate, a entrepreneur, visionary, you know, so let's welcome. Let's give him a drum roll, even though he's on the screen already. Let's give him a drum roll. Let's give him a drum roll.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, Gary, man, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing extremely well. I'm excited. I can't control the circumstances I'm under right now, being apart, but nonetheless, I wanted to make sure that I was a part of what you have going on that has turned out to be such an awesome tool in the community. And I'm just excited that you asked me to be a part, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful. So I'm just glad to know that this is taking place and that people that look like me and mirror me has an opportunity to engage. So thank you, sir.
Talk about
Absolutely. And that's what this is all about. Because you know the piece that is missing is voices of men in what kind of world? A challenging world.
Challenging world.
A world that is not always as accommodating to us as it is for others, right?
Yeah.
So we're here to not disregard whatever that is. We still have to stand up and do what we need to do, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We got to go where we're planted.
That's right.
So Gary, can you tell our listeners, our audience, who is Gary Howard?
Sure. Well, you know, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it as easy as I can. I'm excited to the point to where in my life, I've done a lot in the work field for, let's say, a boss. And then I've done a lot for myself in the work world of business. And in either genre you operate from, it's going to take a level of faith. And when you're challenged to operate from a place of faith, you find yourself being more spiritual based. And that's where I am in life. I'm more spiritual based than my walk at this point in time in my life. When I was in the world working as an employee, I found myself, let's say, gambling. So I want somebody to be encouraged today that can see this program and know that through it all, you find yourself staying in joy. It's one thing to say, well, you know, I'm happy. It's one thing to say, I'm doing good today. But when you find yourself staying in joy, then you don't mess around with the temporal things or the things that become more temporal by 1 minute being happy and another minute being sad. You stay in joy and you find yourself counting it all joy and allowing all of it to work together for your good. So I want somebody to just be encouraged to know today that if you stay in joy, you'll find yourself operating in faith.
You preaching good, preacher. Preaching good, sir. You preaching life, sir. You speaking real truth. I love to hear it.
You know, I left that part off when I introduced them.
I'm just trying to be as candid as possible. Another thing that I like about the program, Dr. Laxley, is that you allow this program to be a tool that allows men like myself to not just be a part, but to also to be encouraged. And it doesn't matter where you are in life on today, as long as you're willing to stay in the race. You see, I read in the good book that if you're willing to just stay in the race and not give up, not faint, not quit, even in the midst of trial, tribulation, and everything that may be going on around you, circumstances that may just have you pressed, the race is not given to the swift. nor is it given to the strong, but it's given to the one that will endure. So if you find yourself stand in the race, you'll soon meet the finish line. And all of the trouble and trials that come your way, it soon become, let's say, the weight of life that gives you the strength. So today you may find yourself weak, but I guarantee you on tomorrow, if you stay in the race, you'll find yourself building muscle. And as you build that muscle, you now gain the strength for the next dimension that life will take you. So the thing is don't quit, don't give up, don't give in, don't give out. Stay encouraged, stay in joy.
Don't quit. Don't give up. Stay encouraged and just go for it. If you quit too often, right before you're ready, you're about to see your success and achieve something, people are giving up. That is such a bad habit, right? And you'll never know what's on the other side of the line if you give up. Isn't that so true?
Won't see it.
We made a commitment on this platform that each week we would address a commitment, give a report on a commitment that we all made. So let's go into that. And Gary, you can jump in as well with a commitment, because I know you have many, and maybe you have not voiced it publicly, but tonight you'll get the opportunity to talk about your commitments, right? So Augusta, can we start with your commitment?
Yes, absolutely. I've stated this on every episode. I come from a long line of people involved in service. I believe I'd said it on Saturday night. If you the true sign of a leader, if you really want to lead, show that you are a leader, go serve someone. So somebody who comes from a lineage and a legacy of people who provided service, I said I wanted to make sure I did the same this year. So every week and every day, every opportunity, whether if it's feeding the homeless, putting money in someone's hand, paying somebody's bill, doing whatever it is, providing service for someone who in the end really can't give me anything in return. So now this week, I kind of broke that. At the event, there was a group of young people from Shiloh High School called Relief and Restore. So in seeing their work, I went and just made a donation. I said I want nothing in return, and I just left an amount of money with them and said I just want y'all to do the work in this short amount of time. And hearing y'all story, I want to invest in you. Now, normally I say this is someone who can't give me anything in return. And for them, I know they could give me something in return, because seeing the work that they're doing and that they're that heavily invested at that age, I'm going to get something in return, whether if it's, down the line for Social Security or one of them being a president or a congressman, but I'll get something down the line. But just in that moment, providing that service and sowing into those young people. That's my update for the week.
Wow, that's so powerful. And you will get something in return. You said that right. You're building leaders. You're growing leaders.
Absolutely.
These are the leaders that will be building communities, and you're a member of these communities. So, Juan, what's your thing? What did you do to build and grow your commitment?
Well, my commitment personally was, of course, stepping out and just putting myself out there and being open to embrace and accept opportunities as they present themselves. So there's a couple things going on, but more specifically, what we've been talking about, what I've been sharing, is just the my father's group, which I call the Bridge, and just the partnerships with a couple of other partners in the community, so we can serve these young men in our community. And so spoke with one of my partners today. He is a coach actually at the academy. So we was talking about dates and looking through the calendar. And so we have finally picked a date for our next meeting with our fathers. And then we have Dress for Success this month. So it's Tie Tuesday. So every Tuesday for this month, our young guys, and mind you, this is middle school, so this is 6th through 8th grade, dressing up, wearing the ties, and we'll provide them if they don't have them, whatever that looks like. We have enough men and just resources lined up to take care of that. And so then our lock-in, we talked about it today, will be April. And I had mentioned before that one of networks that I met a couple of months ago. He is a former NFL player, and so he is partnering with us when we do our lock-in with our young guys and bring some of his buddies out from the NFL, and just his circle, as well as some of the dads and fathers in our community. So to do this lock-in.
Wow.
I love it.
Love it.
Amazing.
I love it, man.
So let's ask Brother Gary to tell us about his commitment.
Well, my commitment has been embedded in the business and the community in which I serve with my business. I try to make sure I engage the community in which I do business because in order to be a pillar in business, you have to engage with the community. So I find myself committing my business to the community by way of giving back. And just as the gentleman said earlier, in your giving, in some shape, form, or fashion comes back. And as I speak from the spiritual life that I live, I read in a good book that says, when you give, it's definitely always going to come back. In other words, given it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, shall men give unto your bosom. So I find myself in a place of being blessed, even when my enemies don't even understand how I become blessed. It's in my giving. And so my charge and my commitment has been to employ those in the area seeking work, especially if they're young Black men, young Black women, because as the songwriter said, the children are the children of our future. And so I want to find myself not far away or escaping who I was at the age of 14 or 15. I come from a good home, a good background, although my mom and my dad had 14 children, and I'm the baby of 14. So I know what it's like to be hungry, not necessarily in my belly, but I know what it's like to be hungry to want more out of life. And so I find myself always being reminded of who I was at the age of 14, 15, knowing that things were tight in the household. So my charge is to make sure every young person recognizes that in the day and time in which we live, regardless of what society is teaching or what the internet is exposing you to, regardless of your recreation or what you want to do in your recreation time, there's no way possible Coca-Cola, IBM, Apple will be willing to hire you when you find yourself wanting to partake in, let's say, weed. And I say that to say because to engage the young people today, you find yourself meet them on their level with a string of things that will have nothing to do with their future when it comes down to morals and values. So I find myself charged and equipped to speak life to the mindset of the young person of the day that tends to believe what they hear on the internet, that does not necessarily build them or build their character. So my charge is to make sure that in the community in which I do business, that I'm able to strengthen them or the community by way of being a pillar that will speak truth, by way of just being a soundboard to what I know my struggle has been and where I come from. So my commitment is to make sure that every young boy, every young girl, every mindset of that young person is placed in a place where it can receive truth. And I'm grateful and thankful that I'm in a position that I can do that. And it's unadulterated. It has nothing to do with anything other than just speaking truth so that they can have the life that they're supposed to have and compete on the level which they can compete when it comes down to their future, whether it be college, whether it be vocational school, or whether it just be, apprenticeship. They need to know that there's certain things taking place in their life right now that is a difficult thing for them. That may be peer pressure, may be, the things that their parents can't provide or what have you. It may be even a parent missing from home in the area in which my business is located. We see this. But my commitment is to make sure that I present them with truth so that they can be strong and live a good life according to people around them that are supporting them with just truth. Truth is very important for the young person today. I honestly believe the best thing you can equip the young person with today, as far as commitment, is feeding them the truth. Feed them the truth. Be transparent, candid, but truthful. So my commitment is truly to be a true sounding board for the young person of today, so that their future can be as bright as they would desire it to be.
You know,
That's my commitment.
the truth shall set you free, right? Isn't that what they say?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
The truth, but you know, as we're talking about commitments, and I'm going to talk about mine, but I want to remind anyone out there listening to this live broadcast or the replay that while we ask the panel about commitments, they should also be asking their friends and neighbors to make a commitment as well.
Accountability.
So just the four of us doing it, it's a good thing, but it's not enough. As you're listening to us talk about commitments and each week following up on it, I encourage you to do the same thing we're doing and go beyond that. We're doing it in a broadcast weekly, but we're encouraging you to do it daily. You know, report to yourself, report to your friends, report to your neighbors on the commitments that you're making to grow your community, to make your community a better place to live in. So I think that's something that's very important. I wanted to say that. Now, my commitment again is all about scholarships for youth in underserved communities. And I'm happy to report that this Saturday gone, I was able to give 3 scholarships to 3 students at Shiloh High School. Very happy to do that. Now, was that my money? No. But what I do is I go out and I bring people on board with the idea. And Dr. Agatha was so gracious in giving. She didn't even want to come on the stage, but I thought it was fitting to recognize her and to have her hand out these scholarships, just to set an example, to let others know that they too can give. And the one thing I want to say about giving, too many times we believe we must have a lot before we can give to someone. Gary, that's not the way it works, is it? We don't need to have a host of things before we can give, right? We just need to have, even if we don't have a lot, sometimes we can do without and give because the other person there's a greater need for the other person. Isn't that how it works?
Yes.
So happy to report that I was able to do that. And next week, I'm hoping to add at least 1 scholarship. And I've said it before, my books, A Collision with Purpose and Unearthing You, if you purchase a copy on my website, acollisionpurpose.com, each purchase on my website, I will donate $5 to A Collision with Purpose college fund. That's something we take very seriously. You buy the book on my website, you are not only supporting my books, but you're also supporting education, supporting growth in a youth somewhere in an underserved community. So one reason to buy the book, yes, is because of the message in the book. Another reason is to support a youth somewhere. All right. I think this is a good time for us to take a break. And what we're going to do, I am going to play a video. It's a little bit lengthy, but it's worth watching. So let's take a quick break, okay?
A collision with purpose. In pursuit of purpose.
Hello there, my name is Monica Atuku from Kitale, Kenya, learning at St. Mary's Nigels. I'm 17 years old in Form 3 and I was staying with my stepmom. She used to send me at work so as to get money for my own basic needs. Sometimes she used to get me some men so that I can sleep with them, so that I can also get my own basic needs. I'm requesting for anybody who is willing or able to support me so that I can be able to achieve my goals of being a neurosurgeon. Thank you.
Simia Elizabeth from St. Mary's Nai Girls, a Form 4 student in Kitale, Kenya. My parents are peasant farmer and they are unable to pay my school fees. I will request for anyone who is willing to pay my school fees so that I can achieve my goals of being a doctor when I grow up. I will be so thankful if they will pay my school fees. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Faith Nanchala, a student at Boke Girls, Kitale, Kenya. I want to take this opportunity to thank A Coalition with Purpose for paying me school fees. I'm improving well and I promise to improve more better to achieve my career of being a doctor. Thank you.
My name is John Blessed and I am in grade 5 in Sunrise School. I want to tell them that thank you for paying my school fees and I request to continue paying my school fees. I want to be an architect. Thank you so much. God bless you.
I'm Jessica Nafula, the co-director Hope and Destiny Foundation. Today we are privileged to be with John Blessed Wafula, one of our beneficiaries of the scholarship program. He's 10 years old, the only child from the mother. The mother is a student who unfortunately got pregnant while still in school, and she was forced to go back to school after delivery. So the grandmother took up the responsibility of bringing him up, but she's not capable of taking care of him because she's also just a tailor who depends on people to give her clothes to make so that she can make ends meet. So she was depending on well-wishers who have been helping in supporting the fees of John Blessed. But currently, because of the tough economic times in Kenya, even the well-wishers are unable to help. So that is why we came to a point of thinking of giving him a scholarship, because as he has said, he wants to become an architect. He has big dreams, and we support him together with A Coalition of Purpose, who have been very helpful and very handy in helping him. So we want to take this opportunity to thank A Coalition with Purpose together with Hope and Destiny Foundation for the good work that you've done in order to make the dreams of this young man come true. We believe that one day, one time, he will be one of the great architects in the world and make a difference in the world.
Okay, I'm Evelyn, a grandmother to John Blessed. I'm the one who is taking care of John Blessed, and because I was not able to chip in for her school fees and the other needs, and that is why I just want to thank you for your assistance, and I still pray that God will continue helping us and also you in order to sustain JB to proceed on with his education. I'm just a housewife. I don't have just a hustler. So I just want to thank you for your help on the side of John Blessed, and I pray for you that God still so that you can also help for other people who are also in need, like John Blessed. I thank you. God bless you. Thank you very much.
A collision with purpose. In pursuit of purpose.
Welcome back. Welcome back. How about that video? Some of the work we're doing in Kenya, and there are two young ladies there in that video, and one of the young ladies said that her stepmother would send her out to sleep with men just to bring money in. She's in need of a scholarship right now. The other young lady is also in need of a scholarship. So my commitment is by next week, I will have a scholarship for one, not two of those young ladies. So let us work together to see what we can do. And it's not a lot of money they need. For some of them, $900 for the year. You do not have to pay it in one shot. You can pay 3 payments per year, right? So if you're out there and you're watching us and you feel something in you is tugging at your heart and that you should do something, then we welcome your support. You can contact any one of us on this platform, and we will walk. What actually happened is we will introduce you to the students. We'll introduce you to their teachers and their parents. So you're not walking into this in a blind way. And we also monitor their school reports to make sure they're holding up their end of the bargain as well. So it's not just a case where we just giving. We are saying you must also perform. And all of these kids that two of them or 3 of them wanted to be doctors, surgeons, and they're very capable. But the way things work in Kenya, if you can't pay, you can't stay. If you can't pay your school fees, you can't stay in school. So anyway, any comments on what you just saw? We're talking about education this week.
And that was all I could think about, all the organizations that I work with over the years, one common theme has been making dreams a reality. And that's what came to mind watching that. It's my first time actually hearing John Blessed speak, and even the other youngest too, but finally seeing him and I was just touched. And what I wrote was what seemed impossible or unreachable, through these efforts you have made attainable. And now they're much closer to reaching their dreams. I mean, that's major. That you see yourself, you see this big picture, then you feel further away from it, and then something happens where you receive a scholarship or something like that, and it puts you closer to that reach. So yeah, that was major.
And just like that, the scholarship is paid. Look, won't he do it?
Auntie Chooksy.
Yeah, my sister just stepped up.
That is a blessing.
This is the village. This is the village. It used to be the village was your literal community, where you were growing up, but now everything's globalized.
Yeah. The village extends beyond your 4 walls.
Absolutely.
Beyond the lines of your country, your county, your continent. So that's amazing that within less than 2 minutes. That's awesome. Salute to Auntie. That's amazing, man. That's amazing.
There are people out there who just wants to give and do, just want to make a difference. And our job on this platform is to get it out there. Let our friends or our neighbors know that there are people out there who are suffering, who are hurting, and we'll have a better life if we just do something. And it's not a lot we're asking them to do. Yeah. One of my cousins said, all I need to do is have one let's eliminate 1 cup of Starbucks coffee a day, and I can help one of these kids. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, and we're talking about education. So Gary, let's get back. Talk to us about education and how these youngsters can become the entrepreneur that you are. How do you get to where you are as an entrepreneur?
Well, education is so important. Growing up for me, at one point, it was the cliche around the house: a mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Yep.
And for a lot of people, I want you to understand that's listening. I want to be clear in my heart for you to get this. Education truly is the judgment of man. In other words, whatever position you hold now, and this could be for your parents or anybody, without that education, without that knowledge, without the understanding of that profession or that position, you can't move forward. So, on whatever level of education, on whatever level of occupation, there's going to be a need for you to find yourself engaged in learning. And learning is no more than the process of being educated. So you're going to have to get to a place to where you realize education is the key. I want you to understand that whether you seek higher level of education, whether it be a 4-year university, 2-year university, technical school, or what have you, or even apprenticeship on the job, you're going to have to find yourself in a place of receiving a level of education. Education will be the key to you being able to pick, choose, and refuse where you'll eat out. It'll be the
That's good.
paramount of where you choose to live. It'll also be the paramount of what you choose to drive in life. Education is going to be the key to everything you'll try to accomplish in life. It's going to require a level of education. And I want you to understand something. The judgment of your education will always come by man. There'll always be somebody judging you and your level of education, whether it be just your life experiences or what have you. You're going to be judged. So when you think the cliche of today is don't judge me, I want you to know that you will be judged, and it'll be according most times to your level of education.
Make a U-turn. I love what Brother Howard just said, and I specifically, the part about it that I love most is you mentioned something that I think a lot of people skip over in conversations about education, which was you reference technical education, and or for back in the day, my great uncles and they would say you go and get a trade, you go and learn, you grow your skill set. Now a lot of people kind of stray away from that, coming out of times where it was the emphasis on, my grandmother and my grandparents at the age where they would say, not even necessarily start an entrepreneurship, but go to college and get a good government job. That was the saying out of the South, So now, I mean, to hear you even reference, to provide people the other option of maybe go be an electrician, go be a plumber, go be a mechanic, go get a technical certificate for Google, learn CompTIA or Tableau. What are your thoughts on even directing people into that for the young person who might not be ready for college, but they might think their route is technical? They might want to go get a trade. They might not want to go to 4-year. What would you tell a young person, or what would you speak to them about?
Well, honestly, I would speak to them about being truthful to themselves. For me, all of us at some point, you know within yourself if you really have a continence of being able to put yourself at a square desk, writing with a round pencil, sitting in a circle of peers. If you really have that in you to pursue a university for education, I just want the young people to realize and know that whether you choose a 4-year institution or trade school, go ahead and look at your life from the perspective of what you want out of life. Because the cliche at one time growing up was nothing from nothing leaves nothing. If you put nothing in, you get nothing out. So if you know you want to live in that high rise, if you know you want to drive that sports car, if you know you want to travel around the world, then you're going to find yourself needing an education that can sustain you, be it on the job training, be it college or what have you. My whole process of getting a young person to recognize where they should be on an education level is, what do you want out of life? Are you trying to live a life as your parents or better than your parents? And if you want to live the life better than your parents, then you're going to have to do more than they did. In other words, greater works you're going to have to do. So I really want to encourage a young person to be all that they can be by being truthful to themselves. And sometimes that means you're going to have to search the path of what's true to your heart. Because if you follow your friends trying to do the college thing and want to hang out and have a good time and all of this stuff, you're going to find yourself creating some extra expenses along the way that you or your parents are going to be able to deal with. So I want to be truthful in my saying this. There is nothing wrong with technical college. There's nothing wrong with seeking a trade, working as an apprentice. There is nothing wrong with it. But in all of it, you're going to have to apply yourself to gain the wisdom that will sustain you in that workplace, on that job, in that business. Because if the truth be told, most electricians, name any electrical company you want to name, at some point, that person was also an apprentice. That person was just a person seeking a job, not necessarily a career. But at the end of the day, that person is operating now their own business and hiring people to work with them or for them. And so that came from just a technical standpoint. When you look at the institution of let's say UGA and Georgia Tech and all these other schools, when you start looking at that kind of stuff, you got to understand you're going to have competition in even those type of school situations. So now you got to get to a place where you realize in life that even if you don't keep up the education on a university level, you're going to find yourself in competition and not able to even sustain yourself on that level if you're not true to yourself. So truly every round goes higher, but when it comes down to entrepreneurship, if you know you want to be, let's say, a owner of a pizza restaurant, well, then you might want to just go and apply for a job at the pizza restaurant. You'll find yourself probably not even liking the fact that goes along with being a pizza maker. You may say, you know what, I'm allergic to onions. And that may not be your cutout, but at some point apply yourself and realize that apply yourself means you got to educate yourself in that field, regardless of what it is. You're going to have to find yourself educated. And there's nothing wrong with humble beginnings. There's nothing wrong with working at the feet of someone that can equip you with the wisdom or the trade so that you can be all that you want to be. For me, if I be transparent and honest with you, my wife and I, we operate a business that's in the optical business as well as the restaurant business. And the optical business, in seeking that, it was a position that I was able to grandfather in. In other words, I was able to work for this company. And because when I was working for this company, they had an apprentice program. It was a college course that you could take. But if you had been in the business for X amount of time, starting a prior date to the requirement of a formal education, you could sit before the state board and become licensed. Well, that was my way of entering that field. And it was very few people that mirrored me or looked like me that I could go to or glean from, so to speak. So I found myself working extremely hard. In other words, I was working harder than everybody else around me. I put more hours than anybody around me. In other words, I couldn't be as good as, I had to be better than. And so I found myself working it, and it got to a place to where I had reached a pinnacle in that business, in that corporation. And the question came, well, what do you want to do next? I said, well, really, there's nothing else for me to do because there was no other promotions available unto me in this corporation. And in some of my complaining or just explaining how I felt, I heard my mom say, well, listen, if you could do it for them, why don't you do it for yourself? And so it took every life saving that my wife and I had. As I said at one point early in the conversation, the world know it as gambling, but when you operate from a place of a spiritual place, you know it now as operating in faith. So it took us stretching out on faith. It took me recognizing the gift that I had, or the knowledge that I had received, the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding that I had received on the job, to trust myself with all of the responsibilities and the consequences alike, to be able to step out on faith. to be able to go and gamble this thing. And it was pretty much, like I say, uncharted territory. But it got to a place where it became real because I recognized in doing everything that I was going to do with this business that I want to embark upon, it had everything to do with me being able to trust what I had learned at the feet of wisdom. And I mean older people. Young people, sometime in this day, you got to get to a place where you realize that you may have the strength to run the race, but it's that older person that with that gray hair up in their head that have the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding how to win the race. So I just want you to get to a place where you can sit at the feet of wisdom. Some of your elders in your family, the older people, sit and begin to listen and stop responding just so you can be in conversation, but start listening so you can respond with a true answer and with a true understanding. Because I want you to know something, and I don't mean to talk on the formal education, but you may be too young, some of you, to realize what we went through in the housing market. And Dr. Laxley, I know you understand that part, but at one point your house wasn't worth what it was worth or what you had paid for it. And so in this day and age and time, you hear everybody wanting their education to be forgiven as far as the expense of it. It's because your education, truthfully, is not worth what you paid for it. In other words, you have college educations that cost X amount of dollars, but now you can't get the job to afford to pay the education costs back. So I want somebody to just get to a clear understanding, when I say this, to understand that it's going to take you sitting at the foot of wisdom to be able to move forward in life and not get yourself tied into a whole lot of things that are not truthful to you. Because you know as well as I know, if I be truthful about myself, I wasn't ready to go sit 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes in school, more or less years. So I want you to get to a place to where you know you have a gift. If you have a gift for, putting the wires back together in a speaker when the stereo break, listen, you have a gift and you have a talent. You need to hone in on that and then get around people that are like-minded, that are willing to invest the time in you, the energy in you, so that you could now bring that gift and talent to a place of prosperity for you. I want somebody to realize that, you don't just sit in the corner and write all these songs and think you're going to get the next hit. You're a writer. So being a writer, these songs now can be considered poems that go into a book, creating memoirs. I want you to understand that there's so many different things with the gifts and talents that you operate with that you can turn into a lucrative business. And it doesn't take much. It just takes faith. It takes determination. You got to allow some of the desire on the inside burn out everything else. So when your friends say, "Oh, we getting ready to go roller skating," well, you got to hone in on your gift. You really don't have time to go roller skating. I've missed so many graduations, so many weddings, so many birthday parties because I was in the business, doing my business, trying to be in a place to where I could pick, choose, and refuse. In other words, I want to pick where I want to live, choose where I want to eat out, and then refuse where I didn't want to travel. So we have to get to a place where we realize that we just got to make some choices out of all the different things that are presented to us. That way we can operate from a place of prosperity with the simple gifts that we have. Somebody's at home and can bake cupcakes like nobody's business, but you haven't established yourself enough to be able to say, "I'm going to start a cupcake business," because you think you got to have a big storefront and all this other stuff. But no, all you need is the gift and then the patience, and then speak to the wisdom that you know is already doing the thing. Find those people in your community and tell them, say, "Listen, I know I'm gifted. All my family, all my friends, whenever I make these cupcakes, they go crazy over. So now it's time for you to start allowing other people to invest wisdom in you. Stop looking for the dollar bill. The dollar bill will come when you create that good idea.
Right.
Get to a place to where you can start speaking life unto yourself, willing to do the work, because you got to do the work, and stop wanting what you see somebody else got. Because most times, young people, I hire you all the time. If you see a customer, client, or somebody pull up in a certain kind of car, you feel like that's what you want and you want it right away. Well, that's not how it worked, because you wasn't there to see all the labor that that person put into purchasing or having that house, that car, that shirt, that shoe, or whatever it might be. I just want you to get to a place to know that it's going to happen for you if you stay in a place of positivity and willing to sit at the foot or the feet of wisdom. Don't rush it. It's going to happen. That person that is looking at this podcast right now, listening to this podcast, you're trying to figure out how you can get that scholarship because you know you're the next Michael Jordan or what have you. Well, if you do the work, it's going to happen for you. It may not happen now, it may not happen next week, but if you continue to put forth the effort to be able to sit at the foot of wisdom, ask the right questions, and then respond with the right answers by doing the right work, you'll find yourself in a place, let's say, of prosperity. You'll prosper in it. And I'm not talking about prosperity being only a financial thing. I'm talking about you'll just be a better ball player, maybe. You may not be the next Michael Jordan, but you'll be a better ball player. You see, you may not be the next best this, that, or the other, but you'll be better than who you were at the beginning of the game. Just be encouraged to know that we're living in a time to where you can write your own check for your future if you're willing to invest in yourself. You got to believe in yourself, even when people around you may speak negative in your life. That has nothing to do with your future. It has everything to do with how you'll get up from that and keep moving. If it was easy, everybody will be doing it.
Absolutely.
It's not easy.
Absolutely. So prosperity, to be a better you. That's prosperity. To be a better you.
That's
and
good.
Are you listening to respond, or are you listening to learn? Takeaway from Gary's conversation. One, I know you're an educator, and I know you will have something you want to add to what Gary's advice and Gary's conversation.
Yeah, well, no, I mean he says some pretty key things. I'm just sitting here soaking it up. I much like he said, I often tell my students, even when I was a graduation coach in higher ed, I would always tell my college students, you know, your success depends on you, you know, and you have to sit down. The first thing is define success for yourself. What does that look like? Gary touched on it. You know, he said, you know, what does the life that you desire to live one day, what does that look like? Because I think if you can start there, then it's almost like you can work backwards. If this is what you want to do when you get older, so now that you've thought through that, you've put that before you, then let's now discuss, or you figure out the steps of what it takes to get to that aspiration, that dream, you know, that career. And then you start just putting things in place, you know. So I agree with everything he said, especially as an educator. I think, and I come from a long line of just educators, you know, and all I knew, it was either you were going to school or you was going to the service. So in my mind, when I was growing up, I only had two options.
You go to college, you go to college, you going to college, you go to the Marine Corps. But one thing you getting is out of here. That's getting out of here.
You know, and I learned through my experience in education, these going on 12 years now. Been on so many college tours, you know, across from the East to the Midwest. And I've become I would say a strong supporter of vocational studies, continuing education. I've become a strong supporter of technical college. And when I lived in Tennessee, we went to TCAT, the Technical College of Applied Technology, and looking at all the different programs, right? And it was one in particular, I'm always telling this story. I loved the surgical technician. This is the person that goes in and sterilizes the tools and pretty much gets the room ready for the surgeon. Surgeon doesn't do anything but the procedure, right? Well, I mean, it's major, right? But they prepare everything. You can go in this program at the age of 18, 19, go in this program. I think the program is like 16 to 20 months. You come out debt free because they have the Tennessee Promise, and now they have the Georgia Promise, where they cover, it's a last dollar scholarship. They cover it completely. You come out starting. Now, this was maybe 2 to 3 years ago, so it's probably more now. But at the time, you come out starting at $62,000. Can you imagine making $62,000 at the age of 20 with no school debt?
Debt free. Debt free.
And when I heard that, I was like, I mean, what if I could go back and do what I know now? If I knew it then, you know, because he's right about that. You know, I tell people all the time that nowadays people are willing to pay you for what you can do. Pay for this, your creativity, and your handiwork, what you're able to do, what you're able to create. So,
you know, I want to report that we just received another donation. That Tremaine, my daughter, made a donation as well. towards a scholarship for one of these students. And just to add that, is it a requirement to donate a full scholarship? No, you can make a partial donation. You can do a partial sponsorship. It doesn't have to be you're taking on the entire load by yourself. It's a case that whatever you can afford, if it's in you and it's something you want to do, then that's what you should do. That's what you should do. I think we'll take another break, and I'm going to play another video. It's a long one, again, just like the other one, but I think it's worth playing. These are videos that I was supposed to play at our event, a colloquium in pursuit of purpose, but why not now? Why not now? So let's take a quick break and play this one as well.
A collision with purpose. In pursuit of purpose.
Hello there, my name is Marion Chelagat from St. Mary's Girls, Kitale, Kenya. Our school has been benefiting from sanitary towels coming from Hope and Destiny Foundation and friends. We therefore request for more sanitary towels because it always helps us and it keeps us in school throughout. Thank you.
My name is Caroline Wekesa, the Deputy Principal, St. Mary's Girls. It's in Trans Nzoia County, Endebess Sub-County, Chepchoina Ward or Zone. The school is currently a county school with 3 streams. It has a population of around 390 students. It's day and boarding girls' school. So the common challenges that the students face in this institution, especially the day scholars, the latest or emerging challenges when they come to school, some of them come from far, some of them come from up the mountain. They face the risk of being chased, especially by men. We have not identified who they are because they come to school very early in the morning. We are handling that, so they report that insecurity. Secondly, most of them live around the ADC. They don't have personal needs. They lack their personal effects to an extent that some of them even don't have breakfast at home. They come to school to have their meals at school. So lack of basic needs basically affects their academics. Apart from that, because of the poverty level in their homes, they are cheated by boys and men. They have early pregnancy. And we realize this when sometimes it's too late. So most of them get children at an early age. And since the ministry encourages that if they get expectant while in school, they still continue with their education. They give birth to those children and still come back to school. So as an institution, those challenges are really having a negative effect on our performance. It leads to the students being absent, and so absenteeism is one of our major challenges. The girls have to stay at home to go and work on the ADC farm in order for them to get their basic needs. We want to thank God. Sometimes those girls are supported by the teachers. The very needy cases, teachers come together and discuss what to do about their cases. So some of the teachers contribute and the girls are given their basic needs. An example, recently there's a Form 4 girl, Elizabeth Shinda, who is very bright but from a needy family. So through one of our teachers, the boarding mistress, Madam Jessica, she found a sponsor who was willing to pay her school fees. So as teachers, we stepped in and contributed for her personal needs. And as we are talking now, she's in boarding, and we are hoping that she will do very well. She's not the only case. There are many other cases. We go to their boxes and we find they have nothing completely. Last year, they were privileged to have a team, a Christian team, linked to Madam Jessica still, and most of them, Madam Jessica, her husband, and a team from America, they came around and provided sanitary towels and panties for the girls. As a school, we really felt privileged, and the girls really benefited from that. And we realized if we had such sponsorship regularly, I think we'll manage to help these girls cope with their situation. Otherwise, as teachers, we are standing with them. The principal is very supportive about any person who is ready to support the girls, because she's on the forefront of supporting some of these girls. An example in point, she took one of the students who was very needy and paid her school fees and every other personal needs that the student needed. So I think if we got well-wishers and sponsors who are able to stand with these girls and the needy cases, the girls have a promising future, because we have seen academic improvement despite the challenges that they go through. Thank you very much.
A collision with purpose, in pursuit of purpose.
So I'm happy to report that both of my grandchildren made donations. Kanan made a donation and Anna made a donation, and I think I'll put this back up here again. My sister Paulette paid up a scholarship in full for the year for one of these young ladies. So I want to thank her.
Yes.
I want to say thanks to Paulette and my grandchildren for understanding, even at the age of 5, the importance of the gift. Yesterday I said that I said it and probably didn't even mean it to my granddaughter Annalise, that she came to my room real early and just wanted her to go to school and so I could go back to sleep. So I said to her, when you get home, I have a surprise for you, hoping that she would just go. Right? So she came home that night and caught me off guard because I thought she was going to forget. And of course, she's not going to forget anything. So she said that, Grandpa, where's the surprise? What is the surprise? So I didn't know what to do because I had no surprise. So the only thing I could think of is to give her, I had some money, and I say, here, I have some money for you. That's a surprise. Do you know what she said to me? Grandpa, every money that you give me, I'm going to give back some of it to help someone somewhere. That's what she said to me. And tonight she came through with that because she made a commitment to donate some of the money that she gave to me. So just want to say that you're never too young to give. You're never too old. You're never too broke.
Right.
Never. Because your situation, you may think it's dire. There are other people out there. Their situation is much worse than yours. And I've learned over time that one small act of kindness can go a long, long way to make a difference in the life of another person somewhere. So I always say that this is not about asking for money. But when you see videos like the ones I've shown tonight, how can you help but step up? How can you help but, because almost everyone that I know are capable, they can give something. We all can, right? No matter our situation. And there are people out there in this world who are really in need, in dire need. And I must say that Ecological with Purpose, part of our work as an organization, the purpose of the organization is to lift people up, empower people, not just with, by providing scholarships, but through knowledge, helping them to gain better understanding, wisdom, all those wonderful things. Because I am a firm believer that education is your way out. And it's not just that education in just academic, it could be just to learn a trade or whatever it is. It's our way out, So, my brother Martin had sponsored one of these kids, John Blessed. And he had asked me not to say anything about it. He wanted to be anonymous. And I had a conversation with him about that. I said, how will you be an example to your friends if they don't know that this is the kind of work you're doing? You're not wanting to announce it because you're bragging or you say, I did this. No, that's not the intent. That's not the point. The point is, if you say that you're doing certain things in your community and you're providing support, maybe you will inspire and motivate them as well. And that's why it is so important not to shy away from your goodness, from your kindness. Be bold in saying, I'm doing these things because it is likely that someone will hear you and say, oh, if Martin is doing it, if Juan is doing it, if Paulette is doing it, then maybe I should think about it as well. And maybe I should do something about it. So that is the intent. So, of course, he sponsored John Bless, that young man that that you heard from tonight, Juan.
Yes.
Bright young guy. And if you notice, there's one thing common with these kids. They want to be surgeons. They want to be this. They want to be that. They have a vision of how they want their lives to be as they grow. So we're talking about education tonight. We're always talking about shedding shackles. So I want to say thanks to all, to Paulette, to Martin, to Emerald, to Annalise, to Canaan for their contributions. Yes, I want to say thank you to them for that. So I'll turn it to you now, Juan.
So look, I honestly, this is what I was going to say, just listening to you, and we're talking about, of course, shedding shackles, right? And I believe, and we've discussed this before, that this is, people may ask, how do you do that? A mentor of mine, actually pastor, he used to say this all the time, and it stuck with me. He was like, you can't do everything. You might not can do everything, but you can do something. And I think that helped, kind of like that whole saying of how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, because we see the big picture and get discouraged because we're thinking, I can't do all of that, but you can do something. And so this is that something, so it's exceptional to me. I think it's amazing just being able to and you said this about the kids, how they're visionaries, right? And I'm just touched like by how they don't see limitations, regardless of where they may live, or currently reside. They still dream of a better day, with these big dreams. And when they talk, it sounds like they are convinced, thoroughly convinced, that this is going to happen. I'm already there. Like they talk as if it's already been confirmed. Like they speak. It's almost like they're speaking from this place, this conviction. And so to be a part of an organization and a movement that's committed to making dreams a reality is is monumental to me. And education is a part of that, you know. So
Absolutely.
I think that's awesome.
And there's no way in this world students should be denied the opportunity to receive an education because of $500.
Especially when they want it, you know.
Yes.
Right. And they're seeking it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
One of the things, you know, when we had our event last Saturday, I made sure that students had free access to come in, no charge. Because we're not here to bar them from knowledge. And we don't want money to be an obstacle either.
Right.
I should also report that Tremaine made a donation as well. You know, made a donation. Now we're sounding like we're running. This is a fundraising event, but it really isn't. This is
it's not a telethon. It's not a telethon. Yeah. This isn't a telethon. These are just people. Whatever. So I'm gonna have to find out what Tremaine. I'm going to have to find out what Tremaine donated so I can match it. Whatever Tremaine.
Here we are, another donation.
You have to. You have to. I mean, listen. My daughter. My woman. I said I come from a lineage of service, so I gotta, me not doing it. Yeah, gotta lead from the front. Yeah, I mean, this. If you're watching this right now and you're tapping in live, this isn't a telethon. Really, it's God at work, because there's work to be done.
Yeah.
Even in hearing and thinking of the process of, like, right now, what you just said, Doc, and not wanting to block people because they don't have the funds or the ability. And I think I forget where it is. If it's in one of the Kings, I don't need all the theologians and the Bible folk to get on me, but it's in one of the Kings. I know there's 2 kings, first and second. But the story of Elijah, he went to the woman in the town with a Z. Don't get on me, theologians. But he goes to the town, and if I'm right, he asked for water. In the process of her going to get the water, he was like, "Hey, can I get some bread too?" And she was like, "Listen, I don't have any bread. I don't have a whole lot of bread. I got enough oil and I got enough flour for me and my son to eat. And then we're done. We have nothing else." And he basically spoke into her and said, "Look, you go and do that. You and your kid eat." And however it was that he spoke into her life, like in the Bible, it said, like, they ate good for a while. They did not run out. So there's somebody out there, all you got is your little flour and your oil. You got your little gas money. You might have a little change here and there. You don't know who you're sowing into. You don't know how the return is going to be. Brother Howard said, you press down, shaking together, running over. We've all heard it in church, but you don't, for people who worry, what am I sowing into? You're sowing into good ground. Like, these are kids who their aspirations are to go into be great, are to go into excel, are to go and be real change agents. So when you hear us, this isn't a telethon. This is us. This is active ministry. This is us trying to change lives. And to be able to do it and see it firsthand is rare, because a lot of times people wonder, but you just watch the video and you're able to see this is where that investment is going. This is where that seed is going. So, salute to my family, salute to everybody who, salute to the bloodline for donating. This is it. This is it. I'm done. I'm off of my pulpit. The doors to the church are now open.
You can come back on when you're ready. So we're watching. This is Bridging Generations, Voices of Men in a Changing World. And what a changing world we're living in, right? There's so many things going on out there, but we can say things are happening and complain about it and do all that stuff. But my suggestion is we do something to take care of ourselves or our family. We do something to uplift us, something to empower others. And that is what A Collision with Purpose, the A Collision with Purpose project is all about. It is a project. And it's a project with no end in sight.
Yes.
Because as long as there's work to be done, this project will be in effect. All right?
Always.
So we're talking about education. We're talking about entrepreneurship. So one, as I said earlier, you're an educator. What are some of the challenges that, from your experience, from your perspective, you're seeing, and specifically as it relates to us, people that look like me and you?
You know, there is a doing a lot of research for various reasons. We'll see soon one day, but doing a lot of research, and I find that Black males, we tend to lack grit and perseverance when faced with academic challenges. You know, and it's significantly lower percentage in comparison to our counterparts, Black females. They can be faced with, and this is research based, they can be faced with the same or similar challenges, be it life and academics, and still persevere and prevail. And what they find is this, which is, I'm again just giving shout out to this platform. What they find is this, is that oftentimes when Black boys, Black and brown boys, you know, that look like us, when they don't see that it's achievable, when they can't envision the mobility, the forward mobility, the upward mobility, they will not pursue. They will not persevere. They will not fight to move forward to even better themselves. They're going to go to what's familiar. And from my experience, what's been familiar is what they've been around, be it, I mean, multiple kids, ladies, the streets, you know, whatever's fast, quick and pleasing in that moment, you know, because that's easy, that's familiar. But when challenged, I'm not gonna do that. I'm already struggling to see that it's possible. Now I'm being challenged, I'm out.
Right.
You know, and so I see that a lot in and it's not just a particular region, you know, that it's
Throughout. Yeah.
countrywide, nationwide,
Hmm.
worldwide, oftentimes. And so having a platform like this and having individuals, and not just us, there are many others, but having people to stand up, especially Black and brown men, to say, hey, it's possible. Hey, I got you. I mean, we're talking about it, you know, lightly, but this whole scholarship thing, you know, a challenge oftentimes can be being able to even afford to go to college. I can't even go.
Right.
And I know I'll say this: many of my students, you know, when I was in East Tennessee, oftentimes they would get offers. The challenge was, if I go that far, what about my siblings?
Hmm.
What about my mom? My grandmother is barely holding on, trying to make sure I'm good. If I go and pursue my dreams, who's going to be here for them? And so oftentimes they it's almost, they get into that whole self-sabotage. Well, I needed to come back home anyway. I wasn't gonna go too far, you know, and so they find reasons to not continue to just go after greatness. It gets intimidating. So you find a way to kind of just check out and you go back, you know. So it's a lot of things, a lot of factors that impact achievement for our young guys. It really is. And a lot of it is community, is family. And it's more specifically for them, is the ability to see that it's possible, it's achievable. I love 100 Black Men, you know, being a part of 100 Black Men in DeKalb County. I learned that the slogan is, what they see, they become. And it's so true. It's so true.
Absolutely. You know, one thing I think I should say this. I've not said it before. Education, right? A lot of us go to school, we drop out of college, and we're in our 40s, and we have not 50s, somewhere in their 50s, and still have not completed a first degree.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage anyone out there, it's never too late to pursue your education. And I will use myself as an example. I always knew education was important, but I did not have to rely on it, because I knew how to make money, right? I knew how to start a business. I was exposed, as Gary said, I was at the feet of people who I could learn from. So education came out of necessity for me. It came. You know, I did not complete my first degree, believe it, until 2015. Can you imagine? And between 2015, no, was it 2015? Maybe a little bit earlier than that. Maybe it was when the economy crashes, when I said, man, I got to go back to school. I had enough, credit hours to take a few more classes and get a bachelor's. So maybe it was around 2012. And between 2012 and 2018, I got a doctorate degree. I worked nonstop. Take classes, double up, triple up, just went like a rocket, right? Commitment. When I'll be hanging out in the daytime, doing this, doing that, and guess nighttime, I was doing the work, living, doing the work. So I'm saying that to say that even if you have yet to pursue your college education, no matter what age you are, now is always the best time to start. I'm a living example of that. I did 4 degrees from 2012 to 2018, 4 degrees. I completed 4 degrees.
That's a run.
4 degrees.
Look,
yeah.
Doc,
that's a run.
And every one of them.
I haven't said this, but I remember I was going to say this the other night, but we were already going long. But this one thing this has stayed with me since, and this was, I think I was still in college, so it had to be early mid 2000s, and it was after a service you came to, and this is right when the real estate market was crashing. And I remember everything was just going rough, and everything, and you show up, and I remember asking, I said, Mr. Stephenson, what's next? And you said, you know what? I don't know. You said this. I marked these words. I held on to them. You said, you know what, Juan? I don't know. But one thing I do know is that it's never too late to start over. And when you said that, it's something in me just like, and every time I've hit like just something in life, an obstacle, or I feel like it's a setback, and I'm like, God, I'm 35, God, I'm 37, and I kid you not, I can hear your voice, Juan. You know what? It's never too late to start over. And I could always just hear your voice. It's resonated with me, and I was in my 20s, so this is almost maybe 20-some years ago, but it stayed with me ever since then. And I'm saying it because you are a living example. I think this is another way how we shed shackles. Is we be that example, we be the change that we want to see. And I have literally seen you do that. You going back, like you just said, getting these degrees, and you didn't allow age or anything else be a barrier or stop you, a hindrance. You didn't. You were determined, like everyone has said, and you went forward and you got it, and still going.
In fact, I am thinking about another doctorate degree. I have a keen
double doctorates.
I have a keen interest in theology, and I'm thinking that's the route. That's the next route for me. That's the next direction. But we're saying this to say that it's never too late.
It's never too late.
It's never too late to do what you need to do to improve your life. There's a saying that if it is important, then act like it is. If it's important, act like it's important. If your life is important to you, act like it is. Do what you need to do to change the things in your life that needs to change. And that's what you need to do. So my words to you back then, one was, it's
never too late to start over.
Never too late. And you're never starting from the bottom, because you have all this knowledge from previous things you did in the past and mistakes you made that you learn from. Mistakes are only mistakes if you're not learning and not growing.
Say that all the time, yes.
So,
no loss, only lessons.
Yes, only lessons. So if you're out there and you have not done any or taken any education past high school, I encourage you to get with it. Even if you're not pursuing a college degree, learn, take some courses. Because one thing that I did, even though I had enough credits to have a bachelor's degree, almost. So in half a year, I was able to complete that my first degree. I just didn't bother to do it. I got to a point where I said, "Who needs this?" I was making money, right? I was working. Why would I waste my time going to school? Is what I said to myself. But guess what? When the chicken came home to roost, when the economy collapsed, I said, "Oh my goodness, what do I do now?" Believe it or not, I went and I got a degree in computer networking. I don't look like that guy, right? I don't look like that guy. But I went and I got a degree in computer. I've never used it for anything, but I learned some lessons from the process. And from there, I said, "What's next?" I did my master's in strategic management and leadership. And then I did my doctorate in leadership, because those disciplines align with who I am. But again, I'm saying that to say, let it be an inspiration. Let it be an inspiration. Get out there and do the do. Don't sit back and say it's too late or I'm too old. Because if you say it, 5 years from now, you will achieve all of that. You can change your life so fast through education.
Yeah,
I cannot begin to tell you the benefits of having gone into that direction.
Yeah,
we're talking about education, and that is why I'm bringing this up. The power of having an education, and sometimes you will hear people say, "But I go to school and I'm not using what I learned." Nonsense. All those critical thinking classes, the ability to reason and make decisions, those classes are more powerful than those subject matter type classes that you're taking, those English and other classes.
The core competencies
You
may not apply, but there are a litany of other courses that you took that are applicable to your everyday life.
Absolutely.
So that's my piece. That's my piece on that, education.
Believe in the impossible. The saying came to mind, change your world by changing your words. I thought about that when you said, if you tell yourself that I'm too old or it's too late, eventually you start to see your life be formed around those thoughts, because you're saying it. You're walking it out, and it's the same amount of energy and faith and belief in that negative stuff. Turn it around, put that same or even more into the positive.
Right.
Be optimistic,
So a man thinketh, so is he.
So is he.
So a man
thinketh. Augusta, your volume has gone down. Turn your volume.
So a man thinketh, so is he. If you're saying those things out of your mouth, that means that is something that you have thoroughly processed through your brain, to where now you are uttering those things and you are speaking it into existence. So if you're saying I can't, I tell all of my kids regularly, I don't want to hear I can't.
Yes.
You're really gonna believe that you can't. Before you say I can't, sit down and figure it out. Before you go and ask for this, really process it. Really think about that thing. But don't let can't be in your vocabulary, because after a while, can't will be your go-to word in every situation that gets a little bit too difficult. The second you get some pushback, the second there's a task, the second it's not easy. I've explained to my oldest daughter countless times, hey, listen, don't be a front runner. Don't be someone who everything is great when you're winning. Everything is great when you're in the front. Everything is great when you're leading. Once in a while, adversity is going to come. Life is designed that way. But what do you do when the challenge is before you?
Yeah.
Do you fold or do you push forward? That's it.
And I'd say you push forward.
Push forward. Yes.
Forward. Yeah, push forward. Push forward. Go ahead. Augusta, you're saying something?
No.
Yeah, Augusta, your volume seems to drop off a bit. Your volume?
Can you still hear me?
It's a little bit low, but that's fine. That's fine. We're getting close to wrapping up anyway. We have reached our 1 hour and 30 minutes. I think we had the conversation we needed to have tonight.
Yeah.
Gary, Mr. Howard was on, and it was a powerful conversation from him.
Absolutely.
Powerful. And he told me before the show that he had an appointment. But he was so committed and diligent and wanting to add value that you notice he did it while he was driving to his event, right?
He jumped right in.
Yeah, right. He was driving to his event. And what else can you ask for? I think we'll ask him to come back on a day when he is 100% available.
Yeah.
We'll ask him to come back on because with his knowledge, with his wisdom, we can all learn. We can all learn. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we can all learn. We can all learn. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Augusta was getting some feedback from me.
Okay. Am I clear?
Yeah, we got let's mute him. Okay, because something is going on with your phone, with your thing. All right, so I think we want to call it a night. Juan, you want to take us out?
Absolutely. Hey, we talked earlier just about this magnanimous event this past Saturday. It was a great, the colloquium, a pursuit of purpose. We were able to, through this great project, Collision with Purpose, give away 3 scholarships. We are making this foundation, this project, this movement is making dreams a reality. So we definitely want to celebrate that and showcase and continue to celebrate the unsung heroes. People is out here doing the work, making futures and dreams realities. We're all builders. So tonight we talked about, we're still talking about shedding shackles. Education is one key to shedding shackles, just educating ourselves, being on life skills, certifications, licenses, be it, technical schools, a 2-year community college or 4-year, whatever it is, just continue learning. Tonight that's what we talked about. We appreciate you all tuning in. It's always a pleasure. Y'all are not just watching us, you're moderating with us. We're a community, it's having this discussion, this conversation, and we appreciate you. It's the same time every week. Thursday, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. We are bridging generations through the voices of men and community. So we appreciate you. And we just want you to continue to thrive, to be, and strive to be a better you, a better version. That's all we can do, one step at a time. So
step at a time. Let's hear from Augusta before we go.
Let me see. We all clear?
Awesome. We hear you.
Awesome. I'll say this and I'll wrap it up since we are out of time. Be yourself, be who God designed you to be. Never forget that comparison is the thief of joy. Envy will steal your happiness. Define your own success and be happy. You don't have to be complacent, but you could be happy.
And I want to say that continue to grow where you're planted. Mm-hmm. Don't let your current circumstances dictate your future potential, where you're headed in life. Don't let that happen. In fact, learn how to live where you're going. And you can do it by watching and following individual examples of people who are where you want to be. So follow them, study them, see what it is that they're doing that makes them so successful. Because at some point, if certain things are not working right in your life, there are reasons for that. And if certain things are working as they should, there are reasons for that. Chances are there are certain things that you're not doing that you should be doing if you're not getting the results that you want, right? And if you're doing the things that you should be doing and you have your goals and your actions and behaviors are aligned with your goals, there's nothing that can stop you. There's nothing can prevent you from becoming successful. All right. And that brings me to next week's conversation. We are going to talk about entrepreneurship, how to build businesses, how we can become business owners. Because as we're shedding these shackles, we need to learn how to become independent in our own lives, in our community. We need to become service providers as opposed to the ones whose services are provided to. We
Absolutely.
need to learn the importance of leveraging. We need to be the ones doing the leveraging and not be leveraged. So next week, join us. We will be talking about entrepreneurship, building businesses, and pursuing independence, our independence. All right. So until next time, on Bridging Generations, Voices of Men, thank you and blessings always.
Good night.
A collision with purpose, in pursuit of purpose.